Today's lesson comes from David Lippold of El Jardin, Perdido, located in Houston, Texas. He's an urban farmer and videographer, and today's lesson is going to be protecting a 9-in-1 fruit tree. That's correct. He's got 9 flavors of fruit growing on a single tree trunk, also known as the rootstock. Hi, my name is Charles Malky. I'm a biologist and plant expert with Ivory Organics, where we grow cool plants and author Saving the World with the Home Garden. And we also discussed protecting fruit trees when we did summer pruning on this Sweet Treat Pluary. It's a Dave Wilson Nursery variety fruit tree, and we cut it in the middle of summer, exposing and risking its life to damaging summer sunburn, and a practice that is practiced by a lot of professional gardeners and orchard growers to basically get their trees in check before fall dormancy. And as you can see, we successfully got the tree back in check with size, with 0 damage from damaging summer sunburn, using the Ivory Organics 3-in-1 and whitewash growing products. Well, I hope you enjoy this lesson, brought to you by our friend David Lippold. Enjoy.
Hey guys, my name is David Lippold. My channel is El Jardin Perdido, which is the lost or forgotten garden in Spanish, paying homage to the area that I'm in this urban setting. Today I do want to do a demo, and I want to give a thanks to Ivy Organics for giving me this opportunity. We'll be demoing a couple of their products, one being the 3-in-1 paint guard. But first, a little background about myself and my channel. I've been growing in an urban environment in Houston, Texas for about 8 years now. And basically my front yard is kind of, which I'm in right now, I'd consider it kind of edible landscaping, although I do use a lot of permaculture principles, and ultimately it's pretty much a food forest. The backyard, I'll show you in a minute, but that'll be a little more evident that it's a food forest. At one point I did have a nice cycle going. I had goats, I still have chickens and quail. My channel is kind of a template for, I'm on 1/10 of an acre. I want to be able to reach out to people who, the HOA could be a little touch and go, but if you have any bit of space, I want to encourage everyone out there to be able to grow their food, not necessarily be 100% self-sustained, but basically any portion of that is still beneficial. So for me, it's supplementation, it's having a relationship with food and where it comes from, and just kind of regenerative gardening, basically. This is by no means traditional. I do use, regenerative or restorative acts in what I do, and I do incorporate animals and soil and microbiome and all these things together to kind of try to make some harmony. Now that you guys know about me, we're going to tackle the demo today, and I'll give you guys a little more of a synopsis. Basically right here, I don't know if the whole thing's in the frame, but over the past couple years, I've been working on a 9-in-1 stone fruit tree. Now, this gets a little tough because of the climate that I'm in, Houston, Texas. Some of these either don't have adequate chilling hours, which, all the varieties, I do try to make sure that they'll do okay locally. But another factor is our heat can get so crazy sometimes. Some parts seem to thrive, some don't. I'll show you guys a little clip, but I did do a very heavy prune on this just to start focusing energy where I needed it for the grafts. But I mean, we've got apricots, several types of peaches, plums. This thing's really thriving for the most part. But since I did a heavy prune, what happened was we got hit with Hurricane Beryl. And so I wasn't able to protect it like I should, which is where some of these products from Ivy Organics are gonna come in. One of the main areas of concern is where I basically topped the second trunk here, and we're gonna use the 3-in-1 paint guard for a majority of this. I do have some struggling grafts. There's a peach up there. I'm not 100% sure of the variety, but it's not doing well. In response to topping it like that, that branch is far enough away that it should be doing a little bit better. As you can see here, the trunk is putting out some SOS. It's releasing some sap. Some of that is from the cut and that timing. It's one thing to do it in the summer, which you can do. It's not recommended, but I did it. but I wasn't anticipating torrential rains saturating the roots, and also, you know, the heat in the summer is pretty hot here. So a lot of this will be protecting all those elements. This side is doing fine, which, you know, that side I didn't top, but I did do some heavy prunes on, and we're gonna make sure we're protecting that as well. We're gonna use these products, super simple to use, and yeah, I'll walk you right through it. So out of convenience and simplicity, we're going to start with the 3-in-1 paint guard, but it's basically a foliar spray and simple to use. Basically, if you were to take this 3-in-1 and dilute it and put it in, you know, a spray bottle, you could have a similar product, but this is already done for you. I'm going to show you how to mix this in just a moment, but right now we have just a couple that are susceptible to some insects right now and the heat, and so I'm just going to go ahead and real simply make sure it's on, make sure it's going, and we're just going to mist the foliage on all these. And I can already see insects going up and down them. So basically there's active ingredients in here, natural oils, clays, and diatomaceous earth. And all of those put together, by name it's organic. So that's convenient because everything that I do is organic, or, you know, cycling things from within the garden if I can. So I don't have to worry about that, especially on a fruit tree. You're gonna wanna use natural products. But the other thing is, I mean, it naturally repels, but it's also going to create a little layer of basically sunscreen. Because a big problem of this tree here, you know, when you have deciduous fruits like that, they don't tend to fare well in tropical conditions. Peaches and stuff like that, you know, there are peaches that fare a little better down in the south, but we have humidity against us, and we have the heat and really intense sun. So, you know, at least until things cool off a little bit, this stuff's gonna help. Another thing I want to emphasize about this product is it is great for establishing trees. It works really well on citrus. I use it on my avocados all the time. But say you are migrating a plant either out of a pot into the ground, or you're trying to harden it off, this will do a great job in assisting with that. After a while, you know, rain and this and that will eventually wash it away, but especially with that initial transplant shock, or if you're moving it anywhere, or if you have a seedling that's just starting to, you know, thrive and you've got the sun coming out, because this even applies in spring. That's why people get sunburn in spring, and, you know, they warn about stuff like that, because that spring sun can get just as intense, and this is a really convenient way to protect your trees. All right, next up we're going to talk about the 3-in-1 paint guard. This is my go-to, and I'll show you guys in a second, but basically all you're doing is opening it up. Really clever packaging here. And the cool thing about this is, depending on how you'll be using it, you can dilute it accordingly. As is, you're basically going to get a pouch full of most of the active ingredients, being the clay and the diatomaceous earth. You're going to empty that in here. We're going to fill the rest up with water. In the past, I've found that for a nice consistent coat, you're pretty much topping it all the way off with water, and then the vial here has some of the active ingredients, some of the essential oils. I believe there's oregano, let me see here. So we have like castor oil, cinnamon oil, clove oil, garlic oil, peppermint, rosemary, spearmint, all of which will repel insects and also repel things like fungal diseases and stuff like that, because I know from personal experience, I do all kinds of health stuff, even within the human body, things like castor oil, cinnamon, peppermint to a certain extent, and especially garlic are going to ward off fungal things and even bacterial. So this will keep both pests away and your tree healthy. And what we're gonna do is just dump that entire contents in here. The genius aspect of this is the shelf life is indefinite. Even if you did mix it, you know, other than if, say, you left the container open, the oils might lose some potency, but especially before mixing it, indefinite. And so we're just gonna add some regular old water to that. And I'm pretty much going to top it off. I've done this before. That makes for a great ratio, because what we're doing is using it as a whitewash essentially. They have different shades, so you have like white, I believe, green. This one is a gray, specifically grayish or greige. I'm not sure how we're pronouncing that. And so before I shake this all up, we're gonna dump the contents of the vial in here. Get all those essential oils in there. And like I said, you'll be able to store this indefinitely. I have, the only reason I'm opening a brand new one is because I'm demoing this, but you know, I constantly just have some pre-mixed formula. Keep it somewhere out of the rain because you might rust, you know, keep it in the shade and it'll last you for a good while. And we're just gonna shake this. You can stir it. I find the best method is to just shake it. And it makes, you know, you fill it up to the top with water, you're gonna get a good consistency for whitewashing, and it's great for cuts, wounds. If you see a problem area in your tree, looks like you've got some insect damage, that's a great thing to do. I'm pretty much going to be painting a majority of this tree. The trunk I think is okay towards the bottom. This tree is pretty well established. It's been here a number of years, almost since day one, 8 years. But the thing is, I keep hard pruning it and tacking on more. Even as it was bouncing back from the hurricane, my neighbor's whole tree, peach tree, toppled over. So I took a few snippets of that. You'll see that I grafted them in 2 spots. Not an ideal time to graft stone fruit, but we'll give it a shot. Okay, we've got our brush here. We're all mixed up. And we're just gonna dive in, and we're gonna start with some of these crucial parts that I did hard prunes on. And real quick, I just wanna show you guys, smells amazing. So that's the consistency. It probably needs to be mixed just a little more because some of that dry stuff got in there. Yeah, some of the dry stuff got around the rim, so that's what you see coming out. I'll show you guys a little closer, because at the height I'll be applying at, it might be hard for you guys to see, but let me bring you in. So essentially, you know, not the cleanest cut, and I'll show you a few other problem areas that I see here where we're definitely gonna paint over, especially since I keep grafting this thing and we don't have the canopy protecting it. And I'm gonna be honest, I probably could afford to dilute this a little bit. So that was topped off with water. And I do wanna get, you know, I'm almost using this like a paste to get into some of these little cracks here. You guys can probably see this one pretty well. And you know what? I'm fine with that consistency for that purpose. And I'm just kind of mixing as I go along here. So once I get the problem areas with this paste, I'm going to dilute it a little bit more to get kind of a whitewash going throughout the whole, not the whole tree, but at least sprawling out from some of these problem areas. But you can probably see with this thick application, it's probably pretty well needed for some of these little problem areas we got going on here. We got a cut here. And you know, if the weather didn't get the best of me, I would have executed this long before. I technically did. It's just, yeah, hurricanes, you know. So for the purpose of just getting some of this diluted, I am going to really quick run through the problem areas so that I can add a little more water. And you know what, I'll add a little bit right now because that's thicker than I wanted. Thing two is clay, diatomaceous earth. Some of these main ingredients, lime, can tend to be a little hydrophobic. So I'm rushing through this admittedly a little bit. So that's one thing. Just make sure you're stirring and shaking or shaking consistently, and be patient. So I'm gonna get on the top here because this is definitely a big one. And that consistency is a lot better. It's still a little pasty, but it's going on a lot better. And especially on the top here where the sun's gonna hit, and we're just really caking that on. Any little troublesome areas, just make sure we've got it fully covered all around. And as I'm going along, if I see any kind of cracks or anything bad, I'm making sure I cover that. So right now, just going through areas where I kind of see the trunk struggling a little bit. We have some old prunes here that I'm going to go over. I already see ants and little insects running for their lives right now. It's great. So right now I'm just getting some of the wounds that are a little more evident. Anywhere where the bark seems to be separating at all or anything like that. I'll tell you one thing. I'm going to leave this tree alone as far as hard cuts and grafts for a little bit and make sure things really heal. The only thing I'll do is kind of, you guys can follow tutorials on my channel, but make sure that each graft is kind of evenly growing, cut back, but light pruning as it goes along, you know. All right, so now we're going to dilute this just a little bit more, and I think it'll be perfect for whitewashing. All right, so now I'm just going to go through and literally paint any part of the top that will be exposed to direct sunlight. And it seems a pretty good consistency now. Now I'll show you guys a little closer in a minute, but basically wherever there's not canopy, I'm at least giving it a nice coat to protect it. And especially on joints where branches joint, there tends to be little pockets where water can collect. So insects like to burrow in there, stuff like that. So we're really just jamming it in there. We're pretty well covered all through the top of that branch. And the application is pretty simple. On this one, you know, as far down as I see problem areas, we're just gonna go ahead and paint that. I'm getting on the branches here, especially the tops where the sun is direct, anywhere where I see problem areas. All right guys, so we're running low on sunlight here. I don't wanna waste too much of your time. I think we've covered basically its application, what it's good for, how to apply it, how to mix it, and I think you guys will be all right. Every product IV Organics has is great, but these are two in particular that I use very consistently. They have a variety of different uses and applications, but yeah, it is a must when you guys are pruning to protect your trees. And you know, whitewashing is pretty important, but the products out there are not breathable and they're not natural. So you're basically suffocating, you know, think if you were wearing latex, you know, you're gonna sweat a lot. Our skin is made to sweat and detox and you know, have certain exchanges and stuff like that. And the same goes for a tree. Bark has a lot of practical uses, and there should be kind of a transpiring and an exchange of different things going on and stuff. So what happens is when things are impermeable, say you use tar or a latex paint or something like that, you're going to have issues, because if you have anything fungal or anything like that, it's just going to suffocate it and it's going to manifest under there. And especially things like tar that people use for tree pruning, big no-no. This stuff's all natural, it works great, and it lets a tree be a tree and do what it needs to do. And it's great at warding away pests and everything like that. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. And again, I just want to thank Ivy Organics for reaching out to me to do this demo, and I can stand by their products 100%.
Thank you, David, so very much for that educational lesson. We at Ivy Organics are so proud to be a part of your growing and grafting successes. For those of you that are new to the Ivy Organics channel, please take a second to subscribe and hit that push bell notification to stay connected with our educational lessons as soon as they become made available. I have also included the links to follow David of El Jardin Perdido social platforms, including YouTube, Instagram, blog, and so much more. All of those links you can find in the video description below. As always, we encourage all of you to continue growing with Ivy Organics, and wishing you all happy gardening.